What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Hands-On channel. As you can probably see from my face, I'm fairly amused by this whole situation, although I have a very split feeling about this whole deal. You know, part of me feels really horrible that our country has fallen so far that we can actually have a person display their obvious demented state that they're in. And, you know, it's really sad. And our enemies around the world are looking at that and taking notice. You know, if China or Russia or North Korea or anybody else, Iran, anyone else that's an enemy of the United States is taking note at how weak the commander-in-chief is. So, you know, they're already rolling out excuses after excuses. You know, some people are trying to basically pull everybody back into the Democrat Party. But I told my wife just before I came out here, basically what we're seeing is a coup d'etat in the Democrat Party, or the makings of a civil war internally inside of the Democrat Party, because many of them have completely lost faith in Biden's ability to beat Donald J. Trump. So they're talking about replacing him. I saved 2 pages worth of headlines here. I had about probably 10 more pages, but I cut through the best ones I wanted to share with you guys. We're going to read through this. I mean, the Democrats are in panic mode. They don't know what to do. There's a lot of talk about bringing in Gavin Newsom, and, you know, suddenly he's been in the media. And people are saying Michelle Obama, although she says she doesn't want to do it, but that's what they always say up until the point where it's offered to them. So this is crazy. I can't believe what I witnessed the other night. The stammering, the stuttering, the blank faces, the blank expressions. It looked like to me, just as I predicted. I made a video 2 or 3 days before the actual debate, and in that video I predicted they were going to either bring out Sleepy Joe or they were going to bring out Amped Up Joe on whatever drugs they're giving him. And I got to tell you, the second half of the debate, I don't think he blinked. Maybe 2 or 3 times, but his eyes were just, and he looked scared. He looked scared the whole time, like he was freaking out. And, you know, we've all had moments, and especially as we get older, you know, I'm 48 years old. There are times, guys, I'll tell you the truth, I'll admit it. You know, I have 2 different shops. I'm sitting in my smaller shop now because it's air conditioned and insulated and stuff. But my bigger auto shop, where I work on a lot of stuff and park vehicles, it's, you know, I don't know, 150 feet away or something. And there are times that I think, I need a tool from over there. I need to go get it. And by the time I get there, I forget what tool it was I was looking for. It's, you know, it's like room amnesia. I'm sure you guys have all experienced. You know, you get up from your seat, you're like, I'm going to go do this thing. And by the time you get to where you were going, you're just like, holy crap, what was I going to do? That happens to all of us. But what happened on the debate stage a couple of nights ago was not that. It was much farther beyond that. And, you know, I've had relatives that have suffered with, you know, mental the ability to have, you know, the cognitive loss in their older age, you know, okay? It's, I think we reach a point where we all start kind of losing that ability to be as sharp as we were when we were younger at a certain point. Some people stay sharp as a tack all the way to the end. I don't know what the difference is, but it ain't Joe Biden. It certainly ain't Joe Biden. He has, ridden that dog-faced pony soldier all the way to the grave and back, and now the Democrats see everything. As I said in that video, my prediction video, how the debate was going to go, I didn't think it was going to go as extreme as it went, but pretty much all of my predictions were right. Although Trump didn't fall into any of their traps, the traps they actually set for Trump ended up catching Joe Biden because he couldn't respond in a coherent way. He mumbled, he stuttered. I mean, I'm not going to play any clips because, you know, that seems like elder abuse, but you guys saw it. You can go watch the clips. There are plenty of people that are making montages of all the different times where at that one point where he said, I basically killed Medicare at the end of it. And they were like, okay, President Trump. And it just, in that way, Joe Biden was throwing up softballs for President Trump on at least 2 or 3 different occasions because of his stumbling and bumbling and his blank faces and losing his train of thought in the middle of his of whatever he was trying to say there. So let's read through some of these headlines here. I'm just going to go through them quickly and maybe discuss a little bit about each one. Report, Democrat bigwigs discuss intervention to remove Joe Biden from the ticket against his will, and they want Barack Obama to lead the effort. So does that surprise anyone? Barack Obama, as far as I know, the only president in modern history to set up and buy a mansion and have an office in D.C. after he leaves office. Most people go back to their ranch in Texas or wherever, their peanut farm like Jimmy Carter or wherever, maybe Reagan went to California or whatever, right? Most people go away, drop out because they're no longer the president. That's what you're supposed to do. Obama has stayed there as a puppet master, pulling the strings of the deep state. A lot of people are saying now, as this is becoming more and more exposed, that Obama is not actually the one that's controlling old Joe, and it's more Jill. And as they're trying to do damage control the past couple of days, just look at how Jill is acting. She's going out and basically being the main speaker, and then Joe comes in and is like, yeah, Trump's a liar. Oh, and he's, they're claiming that old Joe is no good, except for something like 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And after that, he's no good. So if Trump had any, and Trump's team had any part in making the decision to have the debate at like 9 p.m. or whenever they were there, then that was brilliant because they knew that was past old Sleepy Joe's bedtime. So let's move on to the next headline. Breaking. Democrat Party insider Doug Cass reports Biden, Klain, and Obama are having a critical meeting today. Kamala Harris is furious that she is not being considered as a replacement. So they don't like Kamala. They're going to get rid of her just as quick as they turn their back on Joe Biden. I mean, like that. Just before, you guys remember, again, I'm not going to run the montage, but you can find them. Before the debate, everyone was on the left was saying how strong Joe Biden was. He's just as sharp as he ever was. Expect to see an excellent, epic debate where, all sorts of things are discussed, and he has such a range of all these different topics, and he fell on his face almost in every instance. In fact, I would say in every instance. But anyway, what do the people think about this? Poll finds 68% majority of independents want Biden to drop out after disastrous debate. So that sounds about right to me. Bad news for Democrats. Joe Biden refuses to step down and vows to face Trump in a second debate. It's not going to go any better, even if the second debate is at, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, right in Joe's prime time or whatever. And I mean, that's something that we should discuss for a moment. They claim Joe is no good after whatever they said. I think it was 10 to 4 p.m. or something like that. So what if, Xi Jinping and Putin and our enemies decide that, hey, you know what? That's the perfect time to cause some real crazy, chaos because old Joe ain't going to be able to handle it. I mean, this is a guy that has his hand on the, what do they call it? The box of death or whatever, the nuclear football, right? That has our entire nuclear arsenal at the tip of his fingers. I mean, that's freaking insane. Okay. We just can't have it. There's a certain point when you just got to go. Nancy Pelosi, all these Democrats are the ones that seem to push this, with the exception of one other person that's in the Republican Party, supposedly, Mitch McConnell. We have to have some sort of a rule that after you hit a certain age, no more, you're out of politics. Really, I'd like to see term limits across the board on everything, but that's probably not going to happen because, Congress would have to vote on that. Listen to this. Biden campaign chair insists that Dementia Joe's cognitive capabilities are as good as ever. So that's what they were saying before the debate, and many of the media turned on a heel on that and said, no, actually, we were wrong. We can see with our own eyes and hear with our own ears that Joe doesn't have the ability to be the leader of anything. I mean, I wouldn't hire him to be, head honcho at a dog pound or a trash recycling facility or anything. Nothing. You certainly wouldn't want him babysitting your kids or something, right? I mean, come on, let's get real here. The guy has a history. How dare him bring up those false allegations about Trump supposedly molesting a woman at that department store, the one that sued Trump And they never accused him of actually molesting the lady. They accused him of like defamation after the case, right? Because he said something bad about the lady after the case, like it was all bullshit and he wouldn't touch her with a 10-foot pole, something like that. So she sued him and won in where? Liberal controlled cesspool, New York City. So it's not really that surprising. So how dare Joe Biden bring up crap like that when his daughter's leaked diary said that he took inappropriate showers with her up into later ages and stuff. So he shouldn't bring that up. And wasn't there someone else? I'm thinking of a lady named Tara Reid, but that might have been connected to Bill Clinton. It's hard to tell. It's hard to keep up with them because there's so much baggage, connected to the Democrats when they're in power. They're all doing something like that. So listen to this, not satire. Reporter who watched the debate at a nursing home says Biden got slammed by elderly residents. So even people that are, in the golden part of life, they're getting close to their end. They could see Biden was doing a horrible job. Oof. Even reliable lefty Jon Stewart mocked Joe Biden over the debate. He said, resting 25th Amendment face. The 25th Amendment, in case you don't know, is the one where they can remove the president because they don't think he's fit to serve anymore. I believe either Congress or the vice president has to enact that. Maybe the vice president has to enact it and then Congress has to vote on it or something like that. It's not as straightforward as just the Congress can go and vote the 25th Amendment. There are certain rules in the Constitution to use that, so you have to follow those. But anyway, it's probably too little, too late for that. I've been saying, as many others have been saying, for the past 3.5 years, this guy has dementia. But no one wanted to believe it. They were like, oh, no, it's not that bad. Maybe it's not as bad. We saw how bad it was the other night, and it is 10 times worse than I ever imagined. It's horrible. The guy, he needs to be resting somewhere in one of his multi-million-dollar mansions that he has around the nation. Wherever that is, Scranton or wherever. He needs to go back to Scranton and let Jill run his life down the crapper outside of the public eye. Because obviously she's riding that power. And the circumstances in how Jill Biden and Joe Biden ended up being married are pretty disgusting. She was a babysitter for them, and she was married. And anyway, that's a whole other mini story off the side. I heard her ex-husband talking about how basically somebody wrecked her Corvette, her precious Corvette, and it turns out she wasn't driving. Joe Biden, Senator Biden at the time, was driving. So she's been trying to leech onto power since way back then. She was able to do it, and now she's, First Lady. Biden regime staffers are so traumatized by their boss's garbage debate performance, they are unable to show up for work at the White House. So doesn't matter if, terrible things are continuing to go on. The border has totally collapsed intentionally by design because Biden opened the door and rolled out the red carpet before he even set foot in the office. They had caravans coming because they said, Biden, let me in, on their t-shirts. If I remember to, I'll put the picture up here. I'll never forget that. Poll conducted morning after presidential debate finds 49% want Biden to drop out. That's actually kind of low, in my opinion, but there are those tried and true diehard Democrats, Democrat or die, that they don't care if, Biden is, if it's literally Weekend at Bernie's, okay, where Biden is a corpse being propped up, as long as he's got a D by his name. And again, those dead bodies that are voting from the cemeteries, they don't care who they vote for. So they don't know anything. See, that makes them the perfect voting base for the Democrats. They don't ask any questions. Listen to this. Jack Posobiec, he says, we witnessed a Democrat coup against Biden. Now, what did I say 2 or 3 days before the debate? I said they're either going to have Joe Biden jacked up on all the different drugs so that he comes out and performs good, and they're going to cover for him, CNN, the moderators, and all that. Or the message is going to come from on high. And when I say on high, I mean, I think Obama. I think Obama is the head of the Hydra that's pulling the shadow government strings behind the scenes. In other words, the people who are really controlling the country, because it obviously isn't Joe Biden. I'm not sure the guy's even capable of tying his shoe. He can't ride a bike. He can't walk upstairs. He can't make a complete sentence. He can't complete a thought when he's asked a direct question. 25th Amendment should have already been implemented 2.5 or 3 years ago. Okay? There's no excuse for this. So you know it's bad when you lose the hosts on The View. The hosts on The View clash over whether or not Joe Biden should be replaced. So about half of them were saying, yeah, we need to get rid of him. And the other half were diehard. Nope, nope, nope. No matter what, we're riding with Biden. No matter what. Right off the cliff. Thelma and Louise style. They're ready to go. They're ready to bring this country down. They'll burn it to the goddamn ground before they'll vote for Trump or vote for anyone else other than their selected candidate that's controlled by Obama. And they all know. They all wink, wink, nod, nod. They all know the little dirty little secret. We know it too, but the mainstream media will not admit it or address it. Obama controls Biden. Uh-oh, more bad news for Democrats. Biden cannot be replaced on the ballot in 3 swing states, except for death or the 25th Amendment. So, you remember how Biden and them have been making a big deal out of nothing and saying that the ultra MAGA and the right-wing extremists and the ultra racist and all these other people, and they group them in with like Nazis and fascists and all this, right? Whatever label you can throw at the people that voted for the other guy. They've been doing that since the beginning, right? And he even weaponized documents and policies against those people. Wouldn't it be the perfect setup to have somebody that you have pinned or have been sheep dipping or setting up, like they tried to set up those guys to get kidnap Governor Whitmer, like that? So say you got some people that are really low IQ, and you offer them something they want, but they have to do something you want them to do. And the FBI, probably the CIA and other agencies do this all the time. They go out, they find these people that are not very smart, but they're on the right side. They vote the way they want them to vote, meaning they're considered ultra MAGA. So they're looking for these people to label. So watch out, guys. I mean, it says right here, except for death or removal by the 25th Amendment, if they try to replace Biden, that's their only 2 options. So you know in these secret meetings that Obama is having, he's probably got some CIA spooks in there as well. And they're talking about all the possibilities, up to and including getting rid of Joe Biden completely. Getting him out of the picture. Oh, suddenly, maybe he has a heart attack. Maybe the FBI or the CIA uses their secret heart attack gun or whatever it is, right? I mean, you never know, guys. This is the time when you need to be really paying attention to what's going on. And when they suddenly announce something happened, don't take it as fact. Do your own research first. Figure it out, because this is how false flags and other things like that are done, And I was just talking to somebody about that the other day. In case you don't know the origin of false flags, it was like back in the old days of sailing, a pirate vessel would put up like a French flag or something when they were riding around near France, so that the French people would think, oh, there's just another Frenchman out there, right? And then as soon as they pulled up on your boat and they could take advantage of you, down comes the French flag, up goes the pirate flag, and they're taking all your stuff. Kind of like the Democrats. Listen to this. When you lose The View and Jon Stewart and all these other super commie liberals, that's pretty surprising. But this guy, it kind of takes the cake with me. Chris Matthews has always been a diehard liberal. He tries to pretend he's not, but he is. His reporting shows that. He says Biden's not smart enough to keep up with President Trump. I mean, that's pretty telling. And, maybe at one time Biden could have. Even in 2020, he did better, but he didn't do much better in 2020. This time it was just more emphasized because they claim he had a cold, right? I don't think he had a cold. I think he was just horsed from all the debate prep they were doing all week long, because they knew he was in such trouble that they were going to have to pound this stuff into his head because they had the questions in advance. I guarantee you the Biden camp had the questions in advance. So they were drilling him, filling his head full of all the things, all the right answers. And then they pumped him full of whatever drugs. And my opinion is they didn't kick in fast enough. They didn't kick in till like the second half. And I did notice a change after they came back from that commercial break. So maybe they pumped him with a little more during that break. I don't know. Listen to this. This is beyond the pale. Hollywood's top donors freak out after the debate. If he doesn't drop out, we're not giving any more money to the Democrats. Yeah, that's why Obama and everybody else except Kamala are having that secret meeting right now. This is where it gets scary. China is mocking the United States presidential debate. They said it's very entertaining. And you could take that a couple of different ways. In my opinion, the Chinese intentionally released the COVID to get rid of a strong president, a strong United States of America. They wanted to hurt the United States of America. That's who benefited from releasing the COVID virus. Now, Anthony Fauci, the NIH, all these other groups were involved in originally supplying China and the Wuhan lab with this virus to experiment on, but China's the one that released it. I'm convinced of that. And they did it intentionally because they didn't like the trade deals. They didn't like, being pushed back on when in the past, Democrats would just let them walk all over our country. And Trump tried to do some things to change the trade agreements and stuff like that with China. And Xi Jinping wanted to get rid of Trump. That's my opinion. China, look it up. There's lots of different angles you can go down, but China definitely had a hand in the 2020 election results. No doubt about it. More so, I would argue, than any Russian disinformation or any of that kind of stuff that they claimed was out there on Facebook. Joe Biden rolls out Robert De Niro for another fundraising plea following the debate disaster. So they're trying to do damage control. It's not going to work. The American people, my takeaway from this entire debate, the best part about this thing, even though it's horrible for the United States of America for the next 7 months, the best part about this is it is undeniable. My wife has even been telling me she knows she's severely outnumbered where she works, and many of the people there are liberals, the vast majority of them, and they are all talking about it. They all watched it. And if they didn't watch the whole thing, they have certainly seen the highlight clips, which are devastating to Joe Biden. You cannot defend that anymore. You can't. He's created an indefensible situation. So check this out. Even Meathead has turned on Joe Biden. Rob Reiner co-hosted a watch party for Biden and Trump showdown. He now admits the debate was a disaster for Joe Biden. Tuberville on Biden debate disaster. The American people need to understand the deep state is running this country. It's not Joe Biden. He can't tie his shoe. He can't even complete a sentence. He's not running shit. Except for every policy that they're pushing in Biden's name is running our country right down the crapper. And they all reek of the same sort of Marxism that Barack Obama was implementing when he was president. That's another reason I know Obama is the shadow president. And I would argue that if Obama has a say in it, it's going to be Michelle Obama, not Gavin Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer or any of these other people. It's going to be Michelle Obama because he can control her. He wants not only a third term, he wants a fourth and possibly a fifth term. Unbelievable. Biden surrogate. Kana, Biden's advisor shouldn't have agreed to a 9 p.m. debate. He's much better in the day. Oh, I'm sorry. Is it past Biden's bedtime? You do realize that time zones change around the world, and sometimes, like over in Russia and Ukraine, it's the middle of the night there and, the middle of the day here, or vice versa. So what's Joe going to do when it's beyond his bedtime, one way or the other, and something all hell breaks loose? Who's in charge? Who's in charge when Sleepy Joe is not there? That he can't handle a 9 p.m. debate is telling. So Nolte says CNN's pro-Biden debate rules backfired spectacularly. And that's what I was talking about in my prediction video, that Trump was set up, walking into a lion's den, set up to fail, walking into a bunch of different booby traps. But somehow, some way, and I'm blown away myself every time it happens, Trump came out and did pretty good. It wasn't his best performance. I think someone told Trump to be very measured and to let Biden destroy his party. Just go ahead and let Biden talk. And that's what he did. He was very measured and controlled and had some really good responses. He was still able to get some of his quick zingers in, like, yeah, you did destroy Medicare or Medicaid or whatever he said, right? And the one where he says, well, I didn't understand what he just said, and I don't think he did either. People are already putting that on t-shirts and selling them on my local Facebook marketplace. I mean, guys, Joe Biden is a walking meme factory. Everything he does and says is like, I mean, the guy looked like he was in outer space. Maybe it was the drugs they put him on. Maybe it's the dementia. I don't know. But we can't have that as the image of the leader of the free world. Everyone around the world is laughing at us right now, except for people that are so drunk on the liberal Democrat propaganda that they actually still think Joe Biden's good. So the best part of this entire debate was the American people finally see what I've been trying and other people have been trying to tell them for a long time. Joe Biden is not fit to be president of the United States. Time for him to go. Say goodbye to Joe. Whatever you want to say. Adios, amigo. Even Time Magazine, the liberals at Time Magazine had a picture of Joe Biden walking off of the cover. It's over. The only people that don't realize it are Joe Biden and maybe Kamala, although I think Kamala is sitting there thinking she's going to step in. I don't think so. So, oh boy, exciting times. Maybe Kamala will pull out the 25th Amendment, play. It may be her only hope to ever get in the Oval Office and sit in the chair anyway. So anyway, guys, appreciate you tuning in. Let me know what you thought about the debate. It was a shit sandwiched, wrapped in a, I can't even describe what that was. It was a train wreck, dumpster fire, nuclear explosion with major catastrophic chemical fallout and radioactive fallout. And all the Democrats that have been sitting there lying through their teeth have finally been exposed as the liars they are. So that's all good news. Now, let's watch the spin over the next week. I said in my video that either they were going to completely turn on him, which I think they have. I mean, the New York Times, Washington Post, every major newspaper is saying it's time for Joe to go in their own way. Could you imagine if Vivek Ramaswamy would have been on the stage with either of those guys or both of those guys? He's much more articulate. In my opinion, a much smarter guy. It would be really smart of Trump to make Vivek Ramaswamy his vice presidential candidate for those reasons. Probably the most qualified guy out of all the people in the race, guys and girls. Vivek Ramaswamy was definitely, in my opinion, the most qualified person. I know some people are going to come in and say, yeah, but he took that Soros money and during college or whatever for, a scholarship or something like that. Maybe he did, but he now knows what Soros is all about, and he's totally anti-Soros as far as I can tell. So I think it'd be a smart choice. Bring in Vivek Ramaswamy. Let me know who your pick is for vice president. But I mean, it looks like it's Trump all the way 2024. So that's who I'm voting for. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Always look forward to reading them. And as always, I stand for liberty to the bitter end. I hope you do too.